Hello, my beautiful people. I haven't made one of these in a while. So, one of the biggest topics of discussion on the internet lately has been about YouTuber retirement. A whole bunch of famous YouTubers have suddenly said, hey, I'm done. I'm no longer making content, or at the very least, I'm going to be taking a massive break from making content. We've seen it happen with Tom Scott, with Meat Canyon, who isn't really retiring, but is going to be taking a massive break from his main channel. And most notably, we've seen it with MatPat, who will now be handing off all 4 of his Theorist channels over to different hosts. A lot of people have been talking about this and what it means and how weird and crazy it is that YouTubers are retiring all at once, all just happening out of the blue. It got me thinking about how long I can keep playing this game. Now, I've only had this channel around for 3 years, and I'm glad with what it's doing, but on YouTube itself, I've been here for almost 8 years, and I'm a little disappointed with how things have been going lately. It's not the best. I kind of hope by now I'd have at least 500 subs on the main channel. And to be clear, this is 1000% not me saying, hey, I'm going to retire for 2, because I'm not doing that. I enjoy making content too much to do that. But you guys might have noticed that I wasn't really posting in January to either of these channels very much. And that is simply because nobody really gets on YouTube in January. Like, everybody takes a massive break from making content because, the holidays just happened and you get massive burnout. And so I basically just took January off, and I only really made videos that were like TikTok re-uploads on the main channel, and I also did the TikToks on this channel. And the only new videos were like Animal Logic Revisited, but it's not to say that I wasn't working on videos at all. I was just focusing more of my energy on that stuff, plus my personal life and school, just a whole bunch of other stuff. But back onto the subject of YouTuber retirement. I think that the reason people are just generally shocked about this is simply because YouTube is still a very new media. Next year will make it the 20th anniversary of the platform, but compared to most of the other media out there, like film, television, music, books, it is still the new guy. It is still very recent. So imagining YouTubers putting in the towel and say, hey, I'm done making videos, I'm retiring, at this point it's almost unheard of. Now, of course, there have been cases where YouTubers just stopped making videos, but most of the time it was because they got canceled or they died. Very rarely do you see a YouTuber who actually retired from making videos. And when it does happen, it's pretty obvious to see why. The views are down, and they're not worth it anymore to keep on going. But Tom Scott, MatPat, and Meat Canyon, their views weren't diminishing. They were still doing really well at the beginning of 2024. So why stop making videos? It's simple. Making YouTube videos full time is a pain in the ass. Now, don't get me wrong, it is incredibly fun, and it's definitely a rewarding job when you think about it. But the constant grind, having to pop out video after video after video after video to appease to the algorithm, having to follow all the weird rules that YouTube keeps on changing like every second, having to finish one video and immediately get starting on the next one, having to upload videos on a fairly consistent basis, whether it be once a week, once a month, several times a week, whatever. there comes a certain point where you just have to stop and think, is this worth it anymore? Does this still give me the satisfaction that I had at the beginning? For a lot of YouTubers, the answer is yes, it does. But for some, the grind can kill you. We've all heard stories of our favorite creators suffering through burnout and having to take a massive break from content. And in the case of the three big creators that are retiring, they share the common goal of feeling burnt out from the grind and just wanting to focus on something else, whether it be a different passion project or family. And yeah, there are still several YouTubers out there who have been making content for well over a decade and seem to have no sign of stopping, like Smosh, Jax Films, James Rolfe, Doug Walker, the Vlog Brothers. Eventually, there's gonna have to be a time where they have to stop making videos too. Nobody can make YouTube videos forever. Nobody can make YouTube videos till the day they die. Eventually, you're gonna have to stop. And the big takeaway from this video is that yes, it is sad that Tom Scott's not going to be making any more educational videos. It is sad that Matt Pat will no longer be hosting the Theorist channels. And it is sad that Meat Canyon is going to be taking a massive, massive break from his main channel and making the creepy cartoons. But don't think of this as a sadness that you're not going to see more videos from your favorite creators. Think of this as a bittersweet send-off. That these creators had fantastic, wonderful careers that most people would dream of having. And they had the power and the courage to end that success when they felt that it was right to end. I think back to 2014 when the creator of the character Fred Ficklehorn left Nickelodeon and returned to his Fred YouTube channel and proceeded to create one final Fred story arc that would serve as the finale to the character and the channel. He ended the character and ended the series and even ended that channel when he felt it was right to end. And in the same way that Fred was one of the earliest examples of a YouTuber getting sponsorships and a YouTuber breaking out in the mainstream, Fred was one of the earliest examples of a YouTuber retiring and moving on to something else. In this case, Lucas was getting older. He created Fred when he was 14 years old, and he was in his 20s, and he felt it was time to move on and be an adult. That's one of the many aspiring aspects of the Fred story, but the point is, I think we should look at that the same way we are looking at the YouTuber retirements. Think of it as a wonderful thing that they managed to finish what they started. Gonna suck that there's not gonna be more of it. But hey, every TV show has to end eventually. Every film franchise has to end. Every person has to end. Just be glad that you were along for the journey.